read this, but you said that women made some progress, but not major progress in...
YVCC's Writing Center is a popular place for students. The center's quarterly report shows this fact, with a record-setting 956 students working with consultants last fall, and close to 3,000 logged hours by students. But what is special about this particular place?
Well, what I really like about it is that I get to interact with someone about my paper. For 30 minutes, it's just my paper. And how do we improve it? I ask them, like, am I sounding a little too... is this sounding okay? Is this grammatically correct? Or do you know a better way to pronounce this? I'm able to talk to them and be able to talk to someone about it. It just helps me improve and gives me new ideas of expanding my paper.
Very helpful, friendly, always there for you if you need help.
Okay.
It's indispensable to the students here at YVCC. It's wonderful. I would not get the good grades that I get if it wasn't for the Writing Center.
Okay. What makes it indispensable, do you think?
A lot of who works in here, it's how they help us bring out our character in papers. A lot of it's their teaching styles and just their overall willingness to help.
Okay. The Writing Center fits the definition of what it means to be in a generative place.
Jessica, in your mind, this...
I think that just like with all writing centers, that they should promote like just that freeness, like just having that casualness and that homey feeling does help a lot with writing. Because if we just follow a structure, that's not liberal, and people, majority of people hate writing, and so be able to just have more expression of just like you can write whatever you want and you can have fun with it too. Because a lot of people when they go to school, it's like, oh, you just have to follow this structure, and that structure, and people forget that you can have fun with it too. And also having the right group of people also helps too, and so that's why we need to have a combination of people and environment to clash well together to have a lot of great writers. And this Writing Center, it has that combination of people who have the passion of writing and the environment there just to help us as students, and hopefully when I go up to higher education that there is help just like this Writing Center that helped me a lot with my writing skills.
The Writing Center philosophy is student-centered and student-driven, which enables students to be empowered as writers and thinkers.
We don't want to come off as grammar nerds, or for those of us who work in the Writing Center and are also instructors, we try to minimize or hide that fact as much as possible, because we're really writing coaches, and we want to be the fellow writer who is sitting down in support of this other writer's efforts. And I think that's also really important to helping students to feel at home. It's less intimidating to sit down with a writing buddy or a writing coach or just a fellow peer writer than it is to go ask help from an instructor or somebody that you see as an intimidating authority figure.
Our biggest philosophy is that we are a tool that the writer uses to better themselves. We don't make them a better writer, they do that. We ask questions, we prod, we guide, but we don't do. They make their own markings on their paper or give us permission to do that. They are the one that's going to have to hand this in and get a grade, and so it should be a reflection of their own efforts, not ours. So we try to never take ownership of the process away from the student. So that when they leave, they feel as if they've become a better writer, not just that paper has been corrected.
When I was in the classroom, I felt like, well, I can only do so much student-centeredness, and every student's different, and every student's in a different place, and every student's struggling with different things, but all I can do is kind of like try to, cast a wide net, right? But to me, this Writing Center experience has been that this is the ultimate in student-centeredness, because you'll see one student for 30 minutes. Usually they come back and you'll see them multiple times and they'll start to want to work with you, and so you'll be able to sort of like, and so I found that I can actually, I felt that students get more bang for their buck, and I get more bang for my teaching buck by dealing with students one at a time. Because each one of them, I can focus in on where their real issues are. And there's a lot of, it tends to be the same as a lot of students, but every student, you know, has their own thing, and it's almost like, you know, the movement in healthcare these days is patient-centered treatment, where they deal with the patient and what sorts of treatments and other modalities are going to work for that patient in a holistic way. That's what we have time to do here, you know, and so the progress that I feel that I can make on an individual student's academic career, if not their life and their experience in this institution, is huge.
You know, like them reading my paper, you know, it's actually a pretty personal paper, and not once have they like looked at me and like judging me or condemning me. You know, they've been helpful in my writing. You know, and it's not like if they're judging me by my writing, you know, they're like, okay, let's go with it, and let's do how we can make your paper better. You know.
And so you never feel that the sense of power, I guess, that there's that, or that they're telling you how to fix it, but more it's working together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just tips and stuff. You know, they don't do it for me. You know, they just kind of direct me in the route that I should go to make my paper better.
We keep ownership with the student. We don't take their paper, though you often see that physically they push it towards us. And if you notice, maybe we always kind of push it back and keep ownership and responsibility with the writer, and really act as hopefully more of a friend and mentor than someone with a big whip, you know, to tell them you're all wrong and this is how you do it.
And I imagine they want you to fix it. I mean, fix my paper.
Yeah, but mainly because that's the thinking relevant from, I think, from old teaching methods maybe still, that, you know, someone that you go for help to whips out this big red pen or the whip and fixes it for you, rather than help the writer to be able to fix it, him or herself.
From coming here.
I've grown a lot since I started here. In the start, I wrote, she owed the fruit and stuff like that. Now I write the apple or orange. I try to point out to the reader what I mean.
Okay. So you feel like you've developed some confidence.
Yeah,
then.
confidence. I write better now, so the reader understands what I mean.
Yeah. What would you say to other people about the Writing Center?
I would tell them to go here if they have English and take the English 85 class, even the 1 credit or 2 credits, because it helps. Because sometimes they ask questions I forgot to ask myself when I show the paper, and then we work it out together. It helps me.
Yeah.
The feedback I usually get is students are generally very grateful for being able to come in and in a non-judgmental place, in a non-confrontational place, you know, where they're not being evaluated, and they know that for 30 minutes their paper is the center of your universe, and you're helping them, and so they, I would say, the mass majority of students are really grateful that this center is here, and are, you know, very happy to come in and get help and refer others to it. And it's kind of how we do. Yeah, that's how we keep going. So.
How's your day?
Semi-productive. Yeah, we've got something different here, and I'm not really sure what other writing centers are like. I'd really like to go find out.
You know, we're here to always help. We're always on your side. We're always on the writer's side. You know, however we can help the writer, and a lot of times it's even just interpreting what a teacher says, but we always say, you know, when it comes to things like that, we always encourage them to go talk to your instructor. And it's funny how sometimes some of them have an epiphany. It's like, oh, you can talk to your instructor. Yes, that's why they have office hours.
That's right. That's why they're there in their office.
But, you know, it's always important to feel like you're on the writer's side to help them and help them become a better writer in the college setting and in life.
The Writing Center uniquely welcomes students to engage with ideas, thanks to the consultants as well as the place itself, which invites students inside even before they open the doors.
I sort of dumpster dove, sort of,
Yeah.
to the bookstore.
Yeah.
And they didn't need this rack, so I grabbed it and I brought it over here, and we repurposed it by, putting these slots in it, and putting our handouts in it. We put that out here, hopefully to, encourage people to come in.
Yeah.
Also, we do a lot with the windows, and one of the things we did in the last couple of years was these monster workshops for MLA, APA, and punctuation. And so we try to make those, fun and inviting as well. And then we're always doing stuff in this window here. This is an interactive kind of display, and we always have something going on here, and people can come and, put in their own responses and play with it.
So what does this one say? Because I think it's a little hard to read.
This one says, guess the missing word. Quote, I have never started a poem yet whose end I knew. Writing a poem is blank. And people have written down organic, an exercise in faith, N+7, I don't know, liberating, stress relieving, your life, a journey.
And so this is definitely purposefully getting people to kind of stop and look, and maybe if they do that, does that mean that it could maybe get them to be more invited into the actual center?
Yeah, I mean, this sometimes this is funny and sometimes it's not, but yeah, it's just all sort of a way to. Our thing in the Writing Center is it's a very loose kind of place, it's not heavily rule bound, and so we usually have games up here, and you see people playing and then looking in, and hopefully that draws them in as well.
Some students have to stop and they have to know what the answer is. They'll guess, and then they come in and they say, what's the answer? I say, you have to wait till tomorrow. Like, I can't wait till tomorrow. I need to know now.
Yeah.
So it's just a nice way to engage maybe students who wouldn't walk through the door to stop by and see what's going on.
Creative and inventive posters are another way students are drawn into the center.
We watched a video on the super tutors in China.
Yeah.
They are rock stars.
Yeah.
They are on the side of buses.
Wow.
And they're like the equivalent of our rock stars or movie stars here.
Wow.
They make a very good living, and they are incredibly well known. So we thought, we're super tutors.
Yeah.
We're rock stars.
Yeah.
And so we started looking at movie posters to see how we could portray that.
Yeah.
And we came up with the first poster idea, which we're all just kind of posed, not necessarily looking directly at the camera,
right.
but just kind of chilling. And then I came up with the idea of how to put it all together on the poster with the film,
right?
Film strips, because we're kind of movie stars.
That's right.
In our own way.
When it's definitely getting people to come in. Mike was talking about that.
And then hopefully that draws people's attention a lot more than just our standard, come to the Writing Center and our cheesy group pictures where we're all standing together or trying to do something funny and it just never comes out.
Yeah,
right.
No, that's awesome.
And then I took it a little further with the next idea and the Expendables, because they're very badass.
Yeah.
Human beings, and it just worked out that it's the Dependables. We're absolutely dependable.
The effective was, immediate. I mean, we put it out across campus, and faculty and students, are recognizing us and pointing us out, and so they're working.
No, that's great, and it takes away some of that negative stigma or the barriers that keep people from.
Exactly. I mean, I think our main thinking was, how do we not be bureaucratic and institutional looking, to be sort of like, more inviting or at least more relatable.
Once students go through the doors of the center, chances are they'll keep coming back, thanks to the purposeful design of the center itself that lends itself to a transformative experience for students.
The place, it's a very casual environment. Like, for example, here, there's lots of plants, there's lots of books, there's coffee and tea, and the people are here very kind because some of them are students here too, and so just be able to interact and to know that they're in the same shoes as you are, and be able to have that connection immediately.
I think the atmosphere is very different from what people expect in an academic setting. We try to make it feel more like an extension of someone's home, so it's a safe place to be and to study in, and I think that helps. People have so much anxiety when it comes to writing, bringing personal experiences in from the past. Some people have had a lot of struggles academically, and so having to be vulnerable and get assistance can be almost traumatic, I think. So we try to make an atmosphere that can counteract that. I think that the work that's gone into the way the place is put together is really a reflection of that.
It feels like home, and I remember there was a quote by a famous writer. She said, just write as if you're talking to your best friend. And so just having that environment of where it's just very casual and very relaxed helps you a lot in writing.
Do you think that that's different than our expectation of a writing center? Like, does it look different in here than maybe what your first expectation might be?
Well, I expected it to be more serious and very strict on rules, like, just grammarly correct or spell correctly, and, you have to follow this format. But it's not. It's just very free and open-minded and just free thought, which is what writing is.
I think because they own the space.
Yeah.
One of the ladies that comes in most often this quarter got the furniture polish out, and she was polishing the furniture.
Oh, wow.
So it's just because this is her space, and she feels very at home here.
Yeah.
And she spends a great deal of time.
She was polishing the furniture. So truly a home.
Yeah.
The staff are so friendly and welcoming that, we try to make everybody feel at home. And students often come in and, worry that if they don't have an English paper to work on, we don't want to, deal with them. But we try and, make sure that everybody feels welcome. And I feel like, we can achieve that also just being friendly, but also, the layout of the entire center. It's very, you have like your little couch corner here. You just can relax. You have your tables, you do your work, computers, get your help if you need it. I feel like it's just very warm, welcoming environment.
We arrange it constantly for comfort. So we have couches and armchairs and blankets and pillows. We have artwork, warm colors, a coffee station, which is a big draw. We have even instructors come in to get their coffee fix.
Sure. Does it feel like home, do you think, to
Absolutely,
students?
yeah. Lots of elements of home are incorporated here.
The Writing Center was not always located in this lovely place. In 1994, for example, it was housed in a place nicknamed The Cage. However, a dream writing center was designed and opened in the year 2007 with the input of the writing consultants.
After browsing other writing centers' images online, we had a pretty clear sense of what we wanted. We wanted very much for it to be a comfortable place. We knew we wanted couches. There was no place else on campus that had couches at that time. We knew we wanted kind of a cafe-like setting. We wanted round tables, not square. We wanted to be able to sit comfortably with writers, have a cup of coffee in hand, or invite them to have a cup of tea with us. And then we knew that we wanted to have some computers as writing tools, but we didn't want them to dominate the room. And that's another, I think, flaw in a lot of writing center designs, because they look like computer labs with little spaces to talk about the writing. So in the planning of all of this, we came up with this couch area, the main consulting area. We were so bold as to have the architect build in a little kitchenette for us. You won't see that kind of thing in the math center. I just don't think they were thinking of student needs in the same way. And then we've got our separate little section for the computers. And then we knew we also wanted to have a front area that was really open and inviting. We didn't want students to feel when they came into the writing center that there was some sort of barrier between, who was sitting behind the desk and getting access to the help that they needed. So we've got this kind of wraparound desk, and often you'll see one or more staff members behind there, and we're pretty quick to to greet anybody who walks through the door and welcome them to the space and invite them to stay as long as they want.
In the old center, it was just a classroom, a tiny little classroom, and the walls were white. It was very sterile and very clinical feeling. And we were so close, we were stepping over each other.
Yeah.
Here, we have the warmth of color and plants and couches and pillows and lamps. It feels more like home. It's inviting and it feels just relaxing. And when students are writing, they're not relaxed. So anything we can do to help them, calm them a little bit, to relax and be able to get their ideas down, I think is beneficial for students. Plus, it's just a really neat environment.
Yeah.
So we have a great couch area here where students can and have met for group activities, study groups.
That makes sense. You'd be like, hi.
And then all the tables for students to sit at and do their work, and the computers to sit and do their work.
So it's not limited just for English or for, so you see a lot of people all across.
We have people that come in here to study their math.
Yeah.
Because they like this space better than the math space. And of course, that's fine if you want to come in here. We
Right.
just can't help you with your math
Right.
at all. Or biology or nursing. They just like this space.
Yeah.
They've said time and time again, it just feels so comfortable in here.
Students also use the space to navigate and survive the institution of college.
Did your attorney say anything?
Yeah, she said I should.
A group of them said to us, we have a problem. At home, we speak Spanish. At work, we speak Spanish. The only time we ever get a chance to speak English is here on campus. The only time in our lives.
Yeah.
And we need to practice that. Now, I'm not ever a person who advocates English only, but they said to us, we need a place where we can practice our English. Can you give us that? And we said, you should, but we bet you we can. There's a room right there, this room we're in here. You're welcome to go in there, and they said, we want to shut the door and say that we're not going to do anything but speak English for the next hour. And so we responded to that request, and we set up the English Language Learners Conversation Group. And it's not a pedagogical sort of thing. It's just, students who want to come, they drop in, and they come into this room, and they sit around, and they do their thing with a facilitator. I'm not sure exactly what the facilitators are doing, and they don't have a really huge plan. And what ended up happening was something that was kind of discovered on the UW campus writing centers, is that this group became not only a way to practice English, but it became a way for students to, it turns out, well, what do you want to talk about, right, was the question. And then it turned out that what they wanted to talk about was, how do you register? How do you speak to an instructor? How do you navigate this place?
Yeah.
And how do you deal with financial aid? And how do you deal with all of these, really tough things that students are learning to navigate this very complex institution? And so it turned out that, we knew some of that stuff, and the students knew things, and so they started networking, and the next thing you knew, this became sort of a college survival networking class, and so they shared information, and they learned things, and scholarships, and what do you do if you get a grade that you don't agree with, or what do you do if you don't understand your assignment? Just all kinds of stuff. How do you approach instructors? Can you approach instructors? And so it became a real it became a sort of an access point, and students felt that they could come here, and talk about anything and learn how to deal with stuff, and then to go out and where to go, and where to get stuff dealt with, and so really, it helped them, take care of. I mean, I don't even know if we can imagine all this sort of, the long lists of bureaucratic hoops they got to jump through. I've probably forgotten some of those,
Right.
But when you're a second language person, and maybe you're not also, used to what are the social rules in an institution like this, it can get pretty tough.
Ultimately, then, the Writing Center is generative, transformative, and special in many ways for students and consultants alike.
I like it here. I do.
I love my job. I love coming here. I love coming to this space.
Yeah.
Because it feels like my second home. I can't imagine doing anything else. What I love most about that is that students walk in after they've gotten their paper back, and they'll show us how good I did.
Oh.
Thank you, you guys. It's because of you.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing students outside the center once they graduated that say, I never would have made it without the writing center. And that's, I think, they don't say without you.
Yeah.
It's the writing center as a whole, because it's everything that goes on here. Not just the consultations or the space to do your work, but the little things of helping with a quick question, or a lot of people can't figure out computers and they're embarrassed.
Yeah.
Or if they go elsewhere, they might get a curt answer.
Yeah.
And so here, they're always greeted with a smile and a helpful person to help them figure out, how do I put this on my flash drive?
Yeah. How do I navigate it?
How do I navigate it?
You know, instructors are like doctors, and doctors on average can only spend 2.5 minutes per day with their patients. And instructors are very much like that, and you know, because they have so many students and they have limited time. But in the Writing Center here, we're kind of like the nursing department. I mean, we're the ones who can spend time with the patients. We see them, you know, we spend time with them. They talk to us. You know, there's less time pressure. And so you actually get to really spend time and you hear their concerns. And if you've ever been in the hospital or been around a hospital, you know, the patients, they tell their nurses and anybody who comes in their room, whatever, you know, who spends any time with them at all, they'll unburden their concerns on them. And it's usually the nurses that who take it to the doctor. And so, you know, the patients are like, oh, doctor, I know you're very busy, so I won't take up your time with all my whining and complaining, you know. It's,
right.
And that's the way the patient feels. And so in here, we're able to sort of like spend time with people and hear their concerns. And sometimes half of what we do is just listen, you know, and they unburden themselves of the myths that they might have, the fears they have. That's what we deal with a lot. And then so we change their dressings and we, you know, get them ready to go, and they just feel, you know, probably better for that, having had somebody in this bureaucratic nightmare of institution, you know, to connect with for 30 minutes, which is huge.
Yeah. Do you come in for other reasons besides the fact to get support with the writing? Do you come in just to be in the space?
Oh yeah, the space is wonderful. It's quiet. We got the computers. I basically live in here.
Oh, yeah, I think I would too. It's nice in here.
Yeah.
What makes it so comfortable?
Just the atmosphere and the people.
So you definitely see then this idea of this place being transformative for students. I mean, if they can get past those fears and...
Yeah, and I always get a little bit sentimental about writing centers, because when I was an undergraduate student, my first exposure to a writing center was... Well, my very first exposure was not all that great, because the tutor I met with had a very different attitude. He was condescending, and his body language communicated that he was in charge. But I was, you know, a wide-eyed liberal arts student, and you know, just kind of took it for what it was worth. But later on, when I became an English major and started working in a writing center, I fell in love with it, because at that time, all of the peer tutors were very much like a family.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I think one of the reasons that the Writing Center works so well is that we're equal. Because in the beginning, like as soon as when that was introduced about the Writing Center, they'd say that we're not here to correct your paper. We're not gonna go tell you, okay, do this and this and this and this, and you know, there you go. This is how you can perfect it. You know, we want you to learn.
Yeah.
So we want you to learn and write better, and with that encouragement, it does help us to look at the essay more better and say, okay, this is what I think I should change. Do you agree or not? And like, okay, what's your idea? So, you know, like, I agree with it, or maybe we can give you more ideas if this is what you don't like.
I think it has a family environment. I like it here.
How's your day?
Semi-productive. So, yeah, Miss Gooch's class, yeah.